What's up, friends? Welcome back to College Sports Corner. Thursday morning. Got a few more hours today. And we got tomorrow and then the weekend is here. Thank God. I know I've been waiting. It's been a rough week in my work. Hope it hasn't been at yours. Week 7. We are already on week 7. You believe that? Middle of October almost. A few days away. Things are getting good. This Saturday is probably going to be I'm going to go ahead and say the first Super Saturday we have this season. Usually get 2, sometimes 3 of them, and they usually seem to happen right in October, November. Sometimes there's a week or 2 in September. We all know a lot of good games. I think this one's going to be a really good Saturday, Super Saturday. Got some unbeatens playing. We got some that aren't unbeaten. They have a loss or 2, but these are going to be some good games coming up, and we're going to go over all those here shortly. We'll get to some news. Got a lot of news items today. Before we do, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Stick it on at work. Listen to it. Pretend while you're working. You know, nobody wants to work towards the end of the week anyway, so might as well listen to some college football talk. All right, so let's get it on this news. We got quite a few items here. Rutgers offensive coordinator Sean Gleason, he's out. Indiana O-line coach Darren Hiller, he's out. They did say Rod Carey is going to take over coaching the offensive line. They seem to hold up pretty good against Michigan. To me, it was the defense that kind of fell apart there towards the end, and Michigan started scoring all those points, but they got rid of their O-line coach. Okay, one of these news items here. Big, long story here. We're going to go through as fast as we can in case you haven't heard about it. Alabama State head coach Eddie Robinson Jr. and Jackson State coach Deion Sanders, they are in I don't know if you call it a fight, tiff, whatever. So at the end of the game last week, Sanders tried to come after the game, shake hands with Robinson Jr. I think they did that. Tried to hug him, but Robinson Jr. pushed him off. Okay. Robinson said Deion made disrespectful comments last week. Said Deion also walked through Alabama State's offensive warm-ups, didn't go around. He also says Jackson State should have taken a knee instead of trying to score more points at the end of the game. Robinson says, Deion ain't SWAC, I'm SWAC. Sanders did say Alabama State inviting Jackson State as its homecoming opponent was a money game because of the large crowds and the attention that follows his program. So, kind of pissed off Robinson. Deion also went on to say, Alabama State never sells out, but it did this week. Deion says, I did my job. So that kind of pissed Robinson Jr. off, and that's why I guess he didn't want to hug him at the end. He also said, I deserve applause for this. So anyway, Jackson State won 26-12. So yeah, those two are in a fight, tiff, whatever you want to call it. One feels disrespected. The other one thinks he should be thanked for bringing in crowds. I don't know. Good old fights in football. Ole Miss tight end Michael Trigg. He's going to be out for an extended period with an injury. I didn't catch what it was. Vandy running back Rocco Griffin. He's left the team. Why? Couldn't find a reason why. A little interesting tidbit. Mike Gundy said he interviewed for the Tampa Bay job 3 times after the 2011 season. I believe, if I remember right, they went 11-1 that season. Maybe 12-1 with the extra game. He just said the NFL wasn't for him. He decided not to take that job, stay at Oklahoma State. I like Mike Gundy. He'll tell it how it is. Press asks a stupid question or says something, he'll let them have it. We all saw that years ago when he got after that reporter for calling his the player fat and overweight. I think everybody's seen that. If you haven't, go Google it. Look on YouTube. It's on there. Okay, this is kind of a crazy, messed up story. Tennessee safety Jalen McCullough, he was arrested for aggravated felony assault. Evidently, late when they got back from the LSU game, so late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, some drunk guy entered his apartment by mistake. Drunk guy apologized and left. McCullough, that wasn't enough for him. He followed. Words were spoken. McCullough punched the drunk guy, knocking him down the stairs and knocking him unconscious. When the police showed up, the guy was all bloody, missing teeth, and kind of coming to, you know. Yeah, this is a messed up story. On one hand, I can understand if some drunk person walks into my house, I'm going to be pissed off too. Um, and if they apologize and leave, I'm going to be like, what the? But I'm also going to call the police on them. I'm not going to go out there and start beating the hell out of the guy. So, I don't know. Two wrongs don't make a right, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know if he's going to play Saturday versus Alabama. At the time I wrote all this stuff down, I didn't see anything. He may not with something like that. Probably not going to play. But anyway, messed up situation. Kansas quarterback Jaden Daniels expected to miss the rest of the season with a right shoulder separation. That sucks for them, but if you watch that game, the backup, Bean, I think his name is, came in, threw 4 touchdown passes. And let's face it, Oklahoma's just not good this year. So they may beat Oklahoma with the backup quarterback, who's proved to be pretty good against TCU, who we all know is better than Oklahoma. So they may still be in good shape. But anyway, Jaden Daniels, man, get well soon, dude. Last bit of news, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips told ESPN yesterday there's a lot of push to get the 12-team playoff expansion in place by 2024. I'll be happy with that. Shit, I'll be happy if they do it next year because I really figured after when they got the 14 thing going, that was just a kind of a test thing, and they would start adding teams as the years went by. Never did. So, yeah, if they want to put this 12-team thing in place in a couple of years, please do it. Go for it. All right, so last night we had a football game, in case you missed it. Louisiana, 23. Marshall, 13. Louisiana racked up 335 total yards. Marshall racked up 276. This game was delayed a little bit going into the second half because of lightning in the area. Wasn't too long, though. Louisiana's Woodridge was 17 for 30, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jefferson had a 32-yard touchdown catch. Fleming had a 6-yard TD catch. Kicker for Louisiana, Almondores, 42-yarder, 33-yarder, and a 52-yarder. Defense, sacked Marshall's quarterback 5 times, had an interception, and also a fumble recovery. For Marshall, man, this is bad here. Fancher, 7 for 9, 69 passing yards. LeBourne had 26 rushes for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hell of a lot better game than the quarterback had. They were 1 for 12 on third downs last night. I don't get it. Louisiana, I think I read they were 5 for 15, which, I mean, isn't much better, but it's a hell of a lot better than 1 for 12. Gotta admit that. Louisiana outscored Marshall 20-6 in the second half of that one. Marshall committed 2 turnovers, as we said, fumble and an interception. All right, so tonight, wow, we actually got college football on Thursday night. I thought that was being banned or something this year because not every Thursday has had them. Anyway, 7 p.m. Eastern, FS1. Baylor 3-2 at West Virginia 2-3. Baylor Chapin 1,118 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions this year. Reese has 400 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. Not too bad. Baldwin has 3 TD catches for Baylor. West Virginia's Daniels, 1,209 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Donaldson, 389 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns for West Virginia. Rushing games are pretty even. West Virginia does have a slight edge in the passing game. They're pretty even in penalty yards racked up this year. What else we got? 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN, Temple 2-3 at Central Florida, 4-1. Temple only averages 283 total yards a game, where Central Florida averages 483. So they're kind of outnumbered there a little bit. UCF's Plumlee, 1,143 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but he's also rushed for 431 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I don't think UCF's going to have a problem with Temple. Tomorrow night, Friday night, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN, Navy 2-3 at SMU 2-3. I'm actually kind of disappointed in both those teams. You figured they'd be better than this, but 8 p.m. Eastern, CBS Sports, UTSA 4-2 at Florida International 2-3. UTSA's Harris, 1,000 997 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year so far. Saturday, let's get down to it. Noon, CSS, I guess that's the Comcast Sports thing we've talked about before. Miami 2-3, Virginia Tech. I'm sorry, Miami 2-3 at Virginia Tech, 2-4. Man, both these teams, they're probably looking at their season right now and asking what the hell happened. Miami averages 469 total yards a game, where Vatech averages 333. Okay, we talked about the games between the undefeateds and the games that with the teams that have 1, 2, 3 losses. They're still going to be good. Here's one here. Noon Eastern, ESPN2. Number 19, Kansas, 5-1 at OU, 3-3. It's crazy saying OU's 3-3. Why is this crazy, or why should we watch this, you ask? Can Kansas finally beat Oklahoma? It's been years. I mean, they've got a good chance to do it this year. I mean, OU's down for whatever reason. KU is up. They're still a damn good team, even though they lost last week. It's going to be interesting to see if they can go in there to Norman and beat them. Both teams are pretty good in the passing and the rushing game. Just Kansas, man. I think they're just probably a little bit better. Maybe not in rushing, but at least in passing. So, yeah, that's going to be one to keep an eye on. If you don't watch it, just keep an eye on the scores, see if Kansas can pull it off. Another one here might be pretty good. Noon Eastern on Big Ten Network. Minnesota 4-1 at Illinois 5-1. Minnesota's Morgan, 1,143 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year. Ibrahim, 567 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns. They got a better rushing game than Illinois does, even though Illinois has got the, Brown. He does pretty damn good. Illinois' DeVito, if he plays, because he got hurt last Saturday against Iowa. 1,163 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year. Brown has rushed for 879 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. I believe that's probably that game, if I remember right. The Big Ten West, man, there's got like a bunch of teams that have 1 loss, and this is going to help start to decide that, who's going to be at the top of the West. Big one here, noon Eastern on Fox. Number 10, Penn State, 5-0. At number 4, Michigan, 6-0. Penn State's Clifford, 1,030 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Singleton has 463 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. They got only 271 yards in penalties, which is, this time of season is, I don't know, because you got some teams that got way up here, and you got some teams way down here. You got some teams in the middle. They're about in the middle there for yards for penalties. 271 through 5 games. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad, but I don't know. They're both pretty even in the rushing and passing game. McCarthy from Michigan, 1,152 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, and an interception. Corum, 735 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns. They only got 219 yards on penalties this year, so they're doing better on that one. Let's see. Hey, this could be a game of the kicker, too. Penn State's Pinniger, he's kicked 32 points this year. Michigan's Moody has kicked 57 points this year. So if it comes down to it, his kickers could make a difference. Noon Eastern, ESPN Plus, Central Michigan 1-5 at Akron 1-5. Noon Eastern, ESPN Plus, Miami of Ohio 3-3 at Bowling Green 2-4. I'm sorry. Noon Eastern, ESPN, Auburn 3-3 at number 9, Ole Miss 6-0. Auburn's Ashford has thrown 4 touchdown passes this year. Bigsby's only run for 4 rushing touchdowns. Ole Miss outpasses and outrushes Auburn. Ole Miss's Dart, he's got 8 passing touchdowns this year. And Judkins, 8 rushing touchdowns this year. Yeah, I don't know what to make of Auburn. Everyone you listen to says they got all kinds of problems in the upper echelon, from boosters to the heads of the university and everything. That's just all causing a problem. All those on the football program. I don't know. I'm not there. That's just what I hear. Noon Eastern ABC, Iowa State 3-3, Texas 4-2. Iowa State averages 106 rushing yards a game, 258 passing yards, 364 total yards a game. Deckers, He's got 11 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions. Texas averages 178 rushing yards a game, 267 in the passing game, 445 total yards is what they average. Robinson, 10 rushing touchdowns for Texas. Noon Eastern, CBS Sports. Colgate, 1-4 at Army, 1-4. Noon Eastern on ESPNU. Old Dominion, 2-3 at Coastal Carolina, 6-0. Old Dominion only averages 71 rushing yards a game, so their rushing game is kind of pretty much obsolete. Now, they do average 250 passing yards, so passing game is a little bit better. Wolf has got 1,251 passing yards, 9 touchdowns this year for Old Dominion. And the receiver, Jennings III, has got 688 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. So as you can see, passing game is better. They should probably just pass the whole game. McCall for Coastal Carolina, 1,582 passing yards, 15 touchdowns. They average 460 total yards a game. 1 p.m. Eastern, ESPN3, Buffalo 3-3, UMass 1-5. Buffalo Snyder, he's got 8 passing touchdowns this year. Washington's got 6 rushing touchdowns for Buffalo. 2 p.m. Eastern, Pac-12 Network, Cal 3-2 at Colorado 0-5. Plummer for Cal, 1,248 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year so far. All right, what we got here? 2 p.m. Eastern, ESPN3. UConn 3-4 at Ball State 3-3. UConn 3 wins this year. Good for them. They're trying to add to it. Looking a hell of a lot better than they have the last couple of years. Ball State's Paddock, 1,660 passing yards, 12 touchdowns. He has thrown 6 picks, but man, with those kind of numbers, they may have the edge in this one. Another good one here, 3:30 Eastern, ACC Network, number 14, North Carolina State 5-1, at number 22, Syracuse 5-0. Larry for the NC State, 1,265 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They average 141 rushing yards a game, but they do average 231 passing yards and then 372 total yards. On Syracuse side, Schrader has passed for 1,224 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, only thrown 1 interception. Not too bad. Tucker's rushed for 5 TDs. They average 442 total yards a game. 3:30 Eastern, ESPN2, Maryland 4-2 at Indiana 3-3. Maryland's tail, 1,731 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They average 462 total yards a game. They have this year so far 428 yards of penalties. Maryland does. Basic for Indiana, 1,597 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 357 total yards is what they average. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus. Kent State 2-4 at Toledo 4-2. Finn for Toledo, 1,134 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he's also rushed for 5 rushing TDs. 3:30 Eastern, ESPN Plus, Northern Illinois 1-5 at Eastern Washington 4-2. For Eastern Washington, Evans, 6 rushing touchdowns. You can see how you say this guy's name. Canoe, 5 touchdown catches for Eastern Washington. Both quarterbacks in this game have 7 TD passes this year. Let's see, 3:30 Eastern on CBS Sports, Ohio 3-3 at Western Michigan 2-4. Ohio's Rourke, he's got 1,944 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year. Bangura, he's rushed for 5 TDs. Crazy seeing Western Michigan at 2-4 because they're usually a pretty good team. 3:30 Eastern, SEC Network, Vanderbilt 3-3 at Georgia 6-0. Vandy averages 168 rushing yards, 212 passing yards, 380 total yards a game. Swan has 8 passing touchdowns. Shepard has 8 touchdown catches for Vanderbilt. Georgia averages 198 rushing yards, 320 passing yards, and 518 total yards a game. But, you know, Georgia, last few games, they haven't looked like Georgia. I'm not saying Vanderbilt's going to beat them, but Vanderbilt could make it another interesting game. I mean, they got good players on their teams. Could make it interesting Maybe make Georgia sweat a little bit again. 3:30 Eastern, CBS, the big one. One of the big ones everybody's talking about, if not the big one. Number 3, Alabama, 6-0. It's number 6, Tennessee, 5-0. Nick Saban did say that Bryce Young is going to be a game-time decision. He hopes he'll be back, but he's not for sure yet, so I guess we'll find out when they're interviewing Nick Saban right before kickoff. Alabama averages 258 rushing yards, 247 passing yards, 504 total yards a game. Young, if he plays, he's responsible for 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Tennessee, 207 rushing yards, 340 passing yards, 548 total yards a game. Hendon Hooker, 1,432 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions this year. It's pretty good. Hyatt has 5 touchdown catches. Bama's racked up 429 yards in penalties. Tennessee's only racked up 393. So, I would imagine that Bryce Young doesn't play. It's going to be, Milmore? He's not too bad. The games he played in, came into Arkansas, did pretty good. Against last week against A&M, their defense is just pretty good, so they give him fits. But, if he does play, they're going to work on that in practice. So I think they'll be all right, even if Young doesn't play. Another big one at the same time, you're going to have to get the tablet out or the phone, or if you're rich and have 2 TVs in the living room, you're set. 3:30 Eastern, ABC. Number 8, Oklahoma State, 5-0. At number 13, Tennessee, 5-0. Oklahoma State, Sanders, 1,394 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Richardson has 4 rushing touchdowns. Oklahoma State averages 469 total yards a game. TCU's got a better rushing game. Passing games are pretty even between these two. Dugan for TCU, 1,305 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. Miller has 6 rushing touchdowns. They do average more, though, in total yards. They average 530 a game. Oklahoma State only has 197 yards in penalties this year. That's pretty good, considering where we are in the year. TCU, they got 234, which ain't bad, but it's not good. But I'm sure they'd rather have 197 or less. 3:30 Eastern, ESPN, Arkansas 3-3 at BYU 4-2. When I saw this game before season, first of all, BYU, they were playing a pretty tough schedule. But when I saw them playing Arkansas, I said, man, just think of both those teams are, I doubt they'll be undefeated, but 1 loss. Maybe they'll both only have, 2 losses. I didn't know there was going to be Arkansas 3-3 at BYU 4-2. That's crazy. Arkansas outrushes BYU. BYU outpasses Arkansas. Arkansas 463 total yards is what they average a game. BYU 418. 3:30 Eastern, ESPN Plus. Western Kentucky 3-3 at Middle Tennessee 3-3. It's kind of a battle of the quarterbacks here. Both teams average under 142 yards rushing. But Reed for Western Kentucky, he's already got 2,036 passing yards, 19 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Davis, the receiver, 596 receiving yards, 5 touchdown catches. They average 497 total yards a year. For Middle Tennessee, Cunningham, 1,564 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And Peasant, 6 rushing touchdowns for Middle Tennessee. 372 total yards is what they average. Coming off that Miami win, they're kind of, I don't know if they're still hungover from the Miami win or what, but I don't know. Or is Miami just really that bad? They lost to a bad team. You decide. 3:30 Eastern on the Stadium Facebook page, Stadium Network. Charlotte 1-5 at UAB 3-2. I really figured Alabama Birmingham would be a better team than they are, but Charlotte's got the better passing game. UAB does have a better rushing game. 3:30 Eastern, ESPN Plus. Gardner-Webb 2-4 at Liberty 5-1. Gardner-Webb does have a better passing game, but Liberty does top them in the rushing game. Average total yards between these two teams is just 9-yard difference in this one. 3:30 Eastern, ESPN 3. Texas State 3-3 at Troy 4-2. Texas State coming off that win against App State, who may not be as good as we thought they were. That was A&M's problem a few weeks ago. Both these teams only average under 98 yards rushing. It's like, God, dog. Troy's passing game is a little bit better than Texas State, but you know how it is. 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Wisconsin 3-3 at Michigan State 2-4. Two more teams I thought would be having a good year, but we know what's going on at Wisconsin. Still don't know what the hell's going on at Michigan State. Wisconsin, they do outrush Michigan State, but Michigan State's passing game is just a little bit better, but not by much. I mean, not by much at all. Wisconsin's racked up 397 yards and penalties this year, almost 400 yards. They'll probably hit over 400 on Saturday. Michigan State, 268 yards and penalties so far. 4 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus, number 25, 5-0, James Madison at Georgia Southern, 3-3. James Madison Centillo, 1,312 passing yards, 15 touchdown passes. Not bad. Thornton has 5 of those touchdown catches. Van Treese for Georgia Southern, 1,933 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Man. White has 8 rushing touchdowns for Georgia Southern, by the way. All right, 4 p.m. Eastern. ESPN Plus, Louisiana Tech 2-3, and North Texas 3-3. I figured North Texas would be better. They've had a pretty good team the last couple of years. I don't know. I mean, they got a good quarterback. La Texas McNeil, 1,167 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They average under 100 yards rushing, though. They're one of those teams that it's all pass and either not a good rushing game or they don't rush the ball at all. I'm not sure. I haven't seen a La Tech game this year. North Texas, I don't know how to say his name. 1,496 passing yards, 15 touchdowns. He's thrown 7 picks. 4 p.m. Eastern, ESPNU, Tulane. Look at Tulane at 5-1 at South Florida, 1-5. Good for Tulane. Pratt for Tulane, 1,231 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Spears has 6 rushing touchdowns for the Green Wave. 5:30 Eastern, Pac-12 Network, Arizona 3-3, and Washington 4-2. Washington looking desperately to get back on track. Arizona's De Laura, 1,874 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Cowing has 643 receiving yards, and he's caught 7 touchdown passes. Penix Jr. for Washington, 2,044 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They average probably about 500 total yards a game. Washington does. Both these quarterbacks are good. Both teams average over 320 passing yards a game, so they really air it out. Might be a good one to watch. Next one, 6 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus. Rice 3-2 at Florida Atlantic, 2-4. Rice averages 370 total yards a game. Florida Atlantic, 456. And Perry for Florida Atlantic, 15 touchdown passes this year. 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN. 2 teams desperately wanting to win. As long as no shoes are thrown. LSU 4-2 at Florida, 4-2. LSU averages 172 rushing yards, 256 passing yards, 429 total yards. And they've racked up 359 yards of penalties this year. Where Florida averages 214 rushing yards, 222 passing yards, 436 total yards. They only got 206 yards of penalties racked up. Might change if people throw shoes, but who knows. 7 p.m. Eastern, CBS Sports, Utah State 2-4 at Colorado State 1-4. Congratulations, Colorado State, on getting your first win of the season. Utah State, I don't know what's happened to y'all, man. Beginning of the season, I figured y'all going to be one of those good Mountain West teams. And they average 365 total yards a game. Colorado State averages 244 and only averages 72 rushing yards a game. Might be a big reason why they've only won one time. 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Plus, Arkansas State 2-4 at Southern Miss 2-3. 7 p.m. Eastern, NFL Network. Louisiana Monroe, 2-4 at South Alabama, 4-1. Bradley for South Alabama, 1,259 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Webb has rushed for 6 TDs. Another one that called a big game. Probably looked a lot bigger a few weeks ago, but 7:30 Eastern, ABC. Number 4 Clemson, 6-0 at Florida State, 4-2. Clemson averages 171 rushing yards, 255 passing yards, 452 total yards a game. DJ, 14 touchdown passes, and Shipley has 8 rushing touchdowns. Florida State, they average 204 rushing yards a game, 262 passing yards a game, 466 of the total yards game in the average. Travis, he's got 9 touchdown passes. This one could be interesting. 7:30 Eastern, Big Ten Network. Nebraska 3-3 at Purdue 4-2. Nebraska seems like every week they're getting better. I know they talk about Matt Rule maybe coming and coaching at Nebraska, but I mean, if you got that chemistry together with the interim coach and they're winning and doing better than they were, hey, I mean, I'm not athletic director or a school president, but I don't know if I would break that up. I mean, the players are rallied around the guy. They're winning. They're playing better. That Indiana game a couple weeks ago, I haven't seen Nebraska play that good in a long time. So will they keep that guy, keep all that together, or are they going to break it up and put in a big name? I don't know. Anyway, Thompson for Nebraska, 1,497 passing yards, 9 touchdowns. He's thrown 6 interceptions. Grant has 5 rushing touchdowns. O'Connell for Purdue, 1,559 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Jones, 603 receiving yards, 7 touchdown catches for Purdue. Nebraska, they do have the better rushing game, but Purdue obviously has the better passing game. Might be a good one to watch if you're not interested in the other ones. This one here, this could be another good one to watch. 7:30 Eastern, SEC Network. Number 16, Mississippi State, 5-1. At number 22, Kentucky, 4-2. Will Rogers for Mississippi State, 2,110 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Mississippi State only averages 107 rushing yards a game. I know that was a lot to do with Rodriguez was out, but he's been back now for second week back, I guess, third week back. So maybe that'll improve. We'll see. Levis for Kentucky, if he plays, because he's hurt. 1,405 passing yards, 12 TDs, 4 interceptions. And another one, Kentucky, they only averaged 93 rushing yards. So the rushing yards for both these teams kind of at the bottom there. So I'm not going to say at the bottom, but not as good as a lot of teams, let's put it that way. Both of these teams are great in the passing game, just like we mentioned, the running game. Yeah, not so much. But like we said, Rodriguez is back for Kentucky. Maybe he's going to turn on the Jets this weekend. 7:30 Eastern, ESPNU, Memphis 4-2 at East Carolina 3-3. 7:30 Eastern, NBC, Stanford 1-4 at Notre Dame 3-2. Stanford does have the better rushing game, or better passing game. The rushing games for Stanford, Notre Dame gets a little bit of an edge, but just a little bit. Stanford averages 400 total yards a game. Notre Dame averages 395. 8 p.m. Eastern, ACC Network. It's always been a hell of a basketball game. Looks like this year might be a hell of a football game. North Carolina 5-1 at Duke 4-2. North Carolina's made 1,903 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Hampton, 6 rushing touchdowns. Downs has 5 touchdown catches for North Carolina. Duke's Leonard, 1,312 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not too bad. Rushing games are pretty even in this one. North Carolina's got a better passing game. North Carolina averages 504 total yards, where Duke averages 417. They are playing there at Duke, so you never know. Home field advantage. They might pull an upset. Then they can carry that over to the basketball season. 8 p.m. Eastern on FLOF. I've seen it before. I'm not sure exactly app or website or what. New Mexico 2-4 at New Mexico State 1-5. New Mexico averages 215 total yards. Mexico State 266. Both of these teams have over 340 yards in penalties. Crazy. All right, late games. Let's get to these real quick. Then y'all can get back to playing solitaire or Minecraft on your computer at work. Y'all still play that? Or I'm just an old guy who remembers that kind of crap. All right, 3 good ones. 3 good late games to keep you up, having adult beverages late into the night. 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Number 7, USC 6-0. And number 20, Utah 4-2. Utah, I don't know what to say about them, but they are playing at home. Rising is a pretty good quarterback. Can they get the upset? You know that place is going to be fired up, especially being a night game. Williams for USC, he's got 14 touchdown passes. Rising for Utah has got 13. Dye for USC, 6 rushing touchdowns. Thomas for Utah, 5 rushing touchdowns. Addison for USC, 6 touchdown catches. Vale for Utah, 3 touchdown catches. But hey, a lot of stuff there even, so you never know. Oh, there we go. There's another one. USC averages 462 total yards a game. Utah averages 458. A lot of evenness there going there. Here's one where Utah kind of excels. USC's got 373 yards in penalties this year. Utah only 267. So, come down who commits the less penalties. Come down to home field advantage, helping Utah out. Might be worth checking out. Another good one here, 9 p.m. Eastern if you have it. Pac-12 Network. Washington State 4-2. At Oregon State 4-2. Washington State averages 101 rushing yards, 270 passing yards, 370 total yards a game. Ward, 1,617 passing yards, 15 touchdowns for the Cougars. Oregon State averages 181 rushing yards, 250 passing yards, 431 total yards a game. There you go right there. 2 good Pac-12 games and a good Mountain West game. 10:30 Eastern, CBS Sports. Air Force 4-2, UNLV 4-2. Can't tell you the last time I saw UNLV have a good team. I really can't. Daniels for Air Force, 5 touchdown passes. Roberts, 8 rushing touchdowns. They average 444 total yards a game. UNLV's Brumfield, he's got 8 touchdown passes. Robbins, 8 rushing touchdowns. They average 388 total yards a game. Air Force, better rushing team, but UNLV, they got better passing. So that could be one to keep an eye on, or at least keep it on another screen somewhere. 10:45 Eastern, couldn't find any TV for this one. San Jose State 4-1 at Fresno State 1-4. Actually, these teams are pretty even in the rushing averages, passing averages, and total yards per game. Midnight, no TV, probably on the website or app they want you to pay for. Nevada 2-4, Hawaii 1-5. Both these quarterbacks only have 2 touchdown passes this year. Both running backs, though, not too bad. They both got 7 rushing touchdowns. Nevada averages 293 total yards. Hawaii averages 318 total yards. Seems like since Hawaii announced you're going to have to register on a website or pay for the game instead of watching them on TV. A lot of these other conferences have stepped up and given us some good late games these last few weeks. So that's it. All right, yeah, like I said, man, that's it. Got football tonight. Get the rest of this day done. Got tomorrow. Thank God the weekend is here. We'll be back on Sunday to recap all these games and all these things that happened. Anyway, y'all be safe. Have fun. Hope the rest of the work week goes fast for you. I'm going to try to make mine go by fast. And we'll see you next time.